Welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us tonight. I'm going to try something new. My daughter-in-law cannot tolerate gluten, and my brother eats an extremely low-carb diet. So I wanted to make something special for both of them this holiday, and this is what I came up with. This was my first attempt at gluten-free baking, and I have to say, it was quite a hit. People really loved it. Here are the ingredients. Please pause the video to write them down. And hey, if you enjoy the video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We really appreciate it. In my research, I found several different types of no gluten flour. I settled on almond flour to start with because it's also low carb. I'll try some others in later videos. So I've measured out 2 cups of the almond flour, and I'm going to aerate it a little bit with a fork. Then I'll sprinkle in a half a teaspoon of salt and mix that in together. And no, you didn't see me stir it, time-lapse photography, but I did stir it. And here is 1 stick of frozen butter. Took it directly out of the freezer. And we're going to grate this in. Now, I have a story about this old box grater. It's 50 years old and it broke last year, and I thought I was going to get a new one, but Fred fixed it. So now I still have the 50-year-old grater. So grate that directly into your almond flour and make sure you get all of the little chunks out of the grater. And you want to stir that around. You can do it with a fork. I'm doing it with my hands until all of the flakes are coated in the flour. And then we're going to add in 1 beaten egg. Now, this has a much different consistency than wheat flour. It's almost grainy. Then I'm adding in a 1/4 cup of ice water. The original recipe called for a 1/2 cup, but I really think that was way too much. And I was right. A 1/4 cup is plenty for this recipe. So we'll start with that. You can adjust that amount when you're making it if you need to. You just want enough water to form this into a nice, firm, workable ball. And that's what we have here. Now, we're not going to try to roll this out. We're going to do this as a press-in pie crust. I've seen people roll it out. It seems like not worth the trouble to me. So I'm going to go ahead and go with a pressable pie crust, and we'll see what we get. Now I have here a very large, deep pie pan because I'm making an egg custard, and I'm going to oil the inside of it, which I don't normally do with a pie crust, but I'm not sure about this, so I'm going to oil it just to make sure it doesn't stick. So I start with half of the dough, and I'm going to press it into this pie pan. I want it to be as thin as I can without having holes in it. I want it to be firm enough to hold up to the pie filling. But I don't want the pie filling to leak through. Then I'll add the rest of the dough a little bit at a time to build up the sides. And you know, you're just going to have to work with this. This is my first time working with this particular dough. It's pretty workable and easy to deal with. So, you know, experiment, play with it. Try to keep it as even as you can. Now, as I work it up the sides, I try to keep any crumbs off of the lip of the pie plate and make it a little bit puffier right around the top. You know, because we taste with our eyes before we taste with our tongues, I want to make a little scallop, and so I'm getting ready for that. And I oiled my hands just a little bit so that it doesn't stick to my hands so much. It's really a different experience working with a gluten-free flour than it is with your regular wheat flour. I'm trying to corral it so I don't have little crumbs that burn. So see how I made that little lip so I can make a scallop. And on reflection, I think I could have gotten this smoother if I had used the bottom of a glass or something wide and smooth. But as it is, this one has my fingerprints all over it. Now I'm going to go around and pinch that little thick edge up a little bit to get my scallop. And you know, you really don't have to do this. You can go around it with a fork. My baking experience is telling me you need to do something to make it adhere to the pan, but that may not be necessary with gluten-free. It's prettier though. So I'm going to just do a simple scallop. That's pinch 2 fingers together the way I'm showing you. I'll show you, you can do it with your knuckles too. Pretty simple all the way around. Fingers or knuckles. When my nails get long, I use my knuckles instead. But this is your basic scalloped crimp, and it's what I usually use. And I'll take that all the way around. I did oil my hands again before I started this because I find this batter is pretty sticky. I've been told by lots of people in our cooking group that gluten-free baking is very, very different than regular wheat flour baking, and I'm finding that to be so true. But you do want to try to make it as pretty as you can. And here we have the finished crust. Now I'm going to refrigerate this for a little bit. I refrigerated it about 30 minutes. And I'll make my pie filling while it's chilling. Okay, now I'm doing a step now that I'm going to suggest you skip. But I'm leaving it in the video because I wanted the finished product to be a true representation of what I did. And I have an egg wash here. And my instinct is telling me that I need to egg wash this crust. And I'll show you later why I think you should skip that step. So I'm just cleaning off any egg residue here. And pour in my pie filling. Now this pie filling is egg custard. And I have another video. I'll post the link in the info section for egg custard. If you're making a cold pie, like a chocolate cream pie, you would bake the crust first. I have a video on showing you how to do that too. This recipe calls for 45 minutes at 400. We'll cook it, we'll be back, and we'll evaluate. Wow, it looks pretty good, but I have to say, the crust is too brown to suit me. I could have either cooked this at a little bit lower temperature for longer, or I could have put an aluminum foil guard or a regular pie guard around to keep it from getting quite so brown. And I'm sorry to tell you that I did not get a shot of this pie being cut and eaten because when my folks saw it, it was gone. Just 1, 2, 3. But I can tell you that it was very tasty. The crust had a great texture, more like a graham cracker crust than a wheat crust, but it was yummy. So with the adjustments of making my heat lower, not using the egg wash because I think that lent itself to more brownness, and tinting the edge of the crust, I think we've got a keeper here. Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. I'll post more videos of gluten-free baking, and as I learn, I will share it with you. Hope to see you again tomorrow.